Hello and welcome to my channel Sporting Success with Sarah. So today we will be discussing how to manage performance anxiety. This is your fear and your anxieties that you feel just before a competition. Now, every single athlete goes through some form of performance anxiety. We need to firstly differentiate between what is good anxiety and what is anxiety that really stresses you out and makes you perform worse. A lot of the times, athletes feel that if they're completely relaxed, they will be performing better. Now, that may work for some athletes, but there are other athletes who may like to have a little bit of nervousness or anxiety that will help them focus in their match and perform better. So, firstly, you need to figure out what amount of anxiety or what amount of that fear of failure or nervousness do you need to actually perform better. Because if you are too relaxed, it may actually bring your arousal level completely down, and that may almost make you too relaxed or overconfident. And that's not what you want. You want to have the right amount of focus with the right amount of nervousness and excitement for your performance. The second thing to do is to differentiate between nervousness and excitement. A lot of the times, these two emotions or these two feelings are very mixed together. And it may be a good idea to write down what is making you feel excited about this competition. Because even though there is a little bit of nervousness or anxiety about what's going to happen, there might be a bit of excitement, and that kind of rush that you get before a competition. So it might be a really good idea for you to differentiate between those things and understand where is your sweet spot when it comes to focusing and when it comes to the right amount of nervousness that you need for your competition, or whether you need to be completely relaxed. The second part of it is understanding what you want to achieve from this competition or from this match. And these can be things like, yes, I want to win. Of course, you're always competing to win. But it can also be other things like, I just want to feel really good in this match. I don't really care about the outcome, but I just want to stay calm and feel good. So what are you trying to achieve through this match, and what does it mean to you? A lot of the times I ask athletes to actually rate the competition or the match that they're playing on a scale from 1 to 10. What this means is how important it is to them personally or for themselves as an individual. In the grand scheme of things, that competition could be extremely important. For other reasons, it could be a trial, it could be a national championship. So it's like you feel that this is all you've got to give in this competition, otherwise it's all or nothing. But what you want to try and do is understand that, every single competition is going to come back again next year. And if you don't do well at this one, you will be able to do well at the next one. Of course, you want to give your best, but at the same time, you want to rate it. How important is this competition for me? The second thing I want you to do is write down all your strengths. Now, this is an activity that I ask all my athletes to do because it just reminds you that you're not that bad. You're not, your anxiety is making you think all those negative things about yourself, but you have trained for this competition. And if you have, you need to remind yourself of what those strengths are that you have that you can use in this particular match or this particular tournament. Once you've written down your strengths, you want to think about how you can use them and at what point during your competition day you can use those strengths. Now, these could be tactical or technical strengths, which you could use in very specific situations in your match. Or these could be strengths like, you might be really good at playing well when you have a lot of pressure on yourself, like when you're behind in a game or a match. So you're really good at, catching up. Or these could be things like you're very good at starting your game or starting your match or your race, and your starts are really good. So how can you use these strengths in those specific situations where you predict you will feel more anxious? And these can be, anything from, I'm really I'm really good at starting. I know how to use this technique, which nobody else knows. I have a new skill or a new kind of strategy or tactic that I can use. So it can be any of these strengths. The second thing, or the third thing you should be doing is making sure that you have some routines in place to manage the anxiety when you're in competition. You need a routine before you start, which gets you into that moment of, focus, or that moment of confidence, and you fully can feel it in your body. These routines can be very simple. They can be something physical that you do. It can be a song that you listen to. It can be the things you tell yourself just before a match, or it can be a combination of all of these things. So having a good routine before you start. The other routine you want to have is how to overcome a mistake or an error that you've made. A lot of the times when athletes make an error or a mistake, it becomes very hard for them to move on. And a lot of the times, the anxiety comes from that fear of making a mistake or getting something wrong and then not being able to cope with it. So you want to make sure you do have a routine that you've been practicing, or you can write down and use it for specifically for overcoming mistakes. Now, these can be things like tapping your thigh, come on, let's go. These can be things like, turning around, taking a few deep breaths and reminding yourself how to play the next part of the game, the next point or the next ball or whatever that might be. So these routines will really help you to get out of those moments, and it'll make you feel better because now you know you have a strategy to come out of that situation. So you're not surrendering to your anxiety, because a lot of the times the anxiety comes from the fear of having anxiety before the match, and then feeling like, oh, you're going to freeze or you're not going to be able to play your best. But if you have a strategy for every single moment where you can predict you're going to feel anxious, you will probably feel a little bit more geared up to face that situation or go into that match feeling a bit more prepared. So once you've done these two things, the last thing I want to talk to you about is using your breath and your deep breathing. The reason why I say always use your breathing or take deep breaths is because you come out of fight or flight the moment you take that deep breath. It allows you to just pause for a moment and give yourself a break from that fight or flight or that pressure that you're feeling, or that, kind of hopelessness that you feel during a match or a game. So always use your breathing, whether that's breathing in a rhythm, like taking 3 deep breaths in, 5 deep breaths out, at the count of 5, or just taking a number of deep breaths or counting your breath or just observing it, because your breath is with you all the time and it's giving you a lot of feedback as to how you're feeling. But if you're feeling nervous, your breathing will be very fast. And if you take deep breaths, it'll slow down and will allow you to relax. A lot of the times when you have very fast breath or very intense breath and breathing rhythm, what happens is that your body or your mind almost feels like you're nervous or start feeling a bit of pressure. So deep breaths will also allow you to physically relax, which will allow your mind to relax as well. So I hope these tips are helpful for you. If they are, please do write to me and share that in the comments below. And do subscribe to my channel. And if you have any questions, please do write to me. Take care. Bye-bye.